everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Fourtress of a podcast about movies, TV shows, video games, and lots of pop culture and nerd things. My name is Oscar. I'll be one of your hosts today. And with me, per usual, are two of your other hosts. We got Brian, a.k.a. New Reliable. We're continuing it. And Devin, a.k.a. because he's a big fan of the Fast franchise. And there's a character named Mr. Nobody. Devin is Mr. Nowhere because we never know where the hell he is in the world. He's like Carmen Sandiego.
Hey, you're never gonna catch me. That's
I
right.
actually like that code name for you. I want you to be Carmen Sandiego. No.
Hey, I like it. Carmen Sandiego, Mr. Nowhere. That's all pretty BA. It's good stuff.
Yeah. So it's three of us. Alex is not here because he's not seen the movie that we're going to talk about in our main topic for obvious reasons, being a dad. But yeah, how you guys doing?
Doing good, man.
Doing good. Doing great. I wouldn't say great. I'm doing good. I exist.
Nice holiday break for reasons, you know?
Yeah. Suddenly I love the presidents, I guess.
Right. When they get us out of a job, out of work for a day, it's great.
Oh yeah. We need just one federal holiday every month. I think in England they do it like a banking holiday. I feel like they have like once a month. That's what we need. Just
Nice.
I
like
agree.
a Monday every single month.
No,
that you
just
have off.
4-day work week. Just do that.
Or
How
that.
about we just
You-
adopt that?
Make
I
a
would
good
love that.
point. The way that's never gonna happen though.
Right.
Because we hate our people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
It's
mean, let's be
true.
real. For some jobs are basically 4-day work weeks anyway. If you don't have any meetings.
I can neither confirm nor deny in the job that I work.
All right, guys, we got a big show coming up. Big Marvel release this year. So before we get to that, let's hop into our first segment of the week.
News talk.
First piece of news. Todd Phillips has revealed the first screenshot of Lady Gaga as most likely would say Harley Quinn. They haven't actually confirmed who she is, but she Harley Quinn, bro.
Gotta
We
be.
know.
Gotta be.
I said I prefer to think that Lady Gaga instead is going to be canon in this universe. In fact, that she's just Lady Gaga and not anyone playing anyone in this show or movie, rather.
It wouldn't be far off. She would fit right into the Gotham
Absolutely.
scene.
She dresses like a supervillain sometimes. She dresses like a superhero. Yeah, she could fit in with them costumes.
She comes in with like her meat dress and she's like, Batman, it's time to grow some meat. It's time to go vegan.
She goes to the barbecue in Fast and Furious 11.
No,
Hey,
no.
her and Poison Ivy could team up and just root for the environment. And I'd be like, and then we're gonna root for the trust fund billionaire. Like, I think I'm gonna
Wait,
be rooting for the villains there.
would she be for the environment wearing nothing but meat?
I think.
You
But
think
wasn't
she'd be against the environment?
I think she was trying to say something about meat with the meat dress, right?
That's true.
Or was
That's
it just
true.
a meat dress?
I don't know.
No reason in particular. I'm just wearing meat.
This
to
is
this
so
Grammys
long
fair.
ago for our listeners. But yeah, I mean, it's just a strap. The only thing I want to mention is that, goddamn, I really still hope this is a fucking musical.
It
From
would
what
be
I hear,
cool.
it sounds like it still is going to be. And that
I mean, hey, you got the talent now to do that.
I hate
So.
musicals. You heard it here first, folks.
Which is okay. It's not for everybody, but I just like the idea that, like, man, people are going to go see Joker 2 and it's a musical.
It's the same energy as Marvel nerds having to watch the children's shows to get all the information.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Moving on. The Little Mermaid got a tiny, it's not even really a trailer. It's just like a teaser called Wish. I only want to bring it up because, goddamn, like I said, Avatar's making everything underwater look like ass. This shit. I'm not trying to be mean, but if it looked nothing like Avatar.
we talked about this off camera, and one of the big things, it seems like they do it a little bit towards the end of the trailer. I don't give a fuck what the ocean actually looks like. I know it's dark as fuck. The depths are scary, whatever the fuck. I don't care. Make that shit bright. I need the sun to artificially exist underwater because I don't want to see no dark fucking caverns for no reason. Make that shit
It's
bright.
true.
Yeah,
Stupid. Also,
Agreed.
do you guys think they're going to put a Jamaican crab in there?
I
Yeah,
hope
he's
so.
he's gonna be he's played by Daveed Diggs, the dude in Hamilton.
Oh.
He played Thomas Jefferson. I'm pretty sure
He gonna
I
do
don't
the
think he'll
accent?
be Jamaican, but I think he'll have some kind of accent, maybe.
Yum.
I don't know. I don't
I
know.
mean, they should go for some kind of like maritime culture, right? Like, because like it's the ocean. Like, you should go for somebody that.
It's the ocean. You know, the ocean is the entire
It's
world. The ocean literally covers every single part of the culture. So why is it randomly just in Jamaica and nowhere else?
I'm just saying, you can't have like a Midwest accent. You know, it's got to be like,
Because
That's
it's landlocked,
true.
of
It
course.
could be
you know,
like-
That's
obviously.
true.
I don't know, Australian or pirate. You know, you can't You can't do Midwest or like Minnesota.
I'm just saying, if they're gonna do the Jamaican accent, at least he's black.
Yes, I can appreciate
You
that.
know, like could have went way worse.
Or maybe they just shouldn't do it.
Look, I'm probably gonna end up seeing this movie at some point
Sure.
because I've seen all these other remakes, but I was never attached to The Little Mermaid. I know there's a lot of people that think this is the best Disney movie, and that's like fine. I've seen a lot of people agree that like Ariel's the best princess. That this movie has the best music, but I'm just like I had zero attachment really to
I don't
Ariel.
feel like I agree with any of that, but go on.
Yeah,
she signs a deal and then she goes back on the deal because she doesn't like it. I mean,
she's a little dumb.
Ursula did nothing wrong.
Oh,
Prove me wrong.
Never mind.
That and then I want this movie to do well so that the woke crowd or the anti-woke crowd will shut up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
True.
Because
Just
if
for
it
that.
fails, that's all we're gonna hear for like a month, and it's gonna be so annoying.
Oh my
But
God.
actually, I feel like we're not because no one even knows or cares. It's all fake. You know what I mean? It's all manufactured. They didn't actually care about whether or not this existed. They just wanted to be mad for it's something to
That's true.
curve away from the point that they don't actually have any stances to talk about.
I saw a post about like how her sisters are going to be like one from each ocean. So like they're very, like, so one's going to be Asian, one's going to be like Indian, one's going to be, there's going to be Scandinavian one. Like they're
Wasn't that the
all
Little
different colors,
Mermaid
right?
too? Wasn't that the straight to DVD movie?
I don't know.
I don't.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Because there's a black one in that, and everyone got mad about that.
But like in the comments of it, people are like, "Oh, like how would this work? Like, is the dad? I guess he has power. Like, try." It's like they are mermaids.
They're mermaids.
I will never understand how we suddenly have this weird issue with whether or not it would make sense when literally
There's
it's a
talking
motherfucker
fish in that movie
with fish legs. You have fish for legs and a human body, and we think that is normal. And somehow they procreated. Are they mammals? Do they lay eggs?
Ooh,
Do
are
they have
mammals or are
sex?
they
We don't see
fish?
any of that.
That's what we need to see. We need to see how Ariel was born from an egg.
If they're mammals, then that means the mermaids would have to come up and surface for air like every now and again. So I think they're fish. I
mean, the bottom half is fish. I ain't seen no
Yeah.
dick on King Triton or whatever.
We also don't see like no gills on their human
Maybe
half.
they're in their
so-
armpits.
And they
Just
do
like-
have mammary glands.
all
we
time.
just never see them.
All right, I'm off this conversation now. It's gotten too weird. I'm thinking too hard about it.
What's to be learned here, listeners, is that we are really into the science behind the Little Mermaid.
Listen, they got fish legs, but they all have mammary glands. They all got nipples, so I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on to another trailer that looks not equally as ridiculous, but equally as ridiculous in premise, and that is Tetris, a movie that what?
Can we stop making every single boring ass business meeting into Wolf of Wall Street?
Yes.
This is like Air. This is like Air from last week.
Yeah. What the fuck it's just fucking Tetris, bro. No one was this hype about Tetris, I promise you.
When I watched it, I was
Right.
like, this is like a combination of Air, The Wolf of Wall Street, and Argo.
Mhm.
Like, what the hell is going on? He's gonna like escape Russia with it. I can just imagine the ending scene is Taron Egerton at the airport in Russia with a Game Boy in his suitcase trying to get onto a plane to escape Russia.
Oh man. I don't get it. Why is this version of TV so popular right now? Dramatizing
It
the fuck
is,
out of the
yeah.
most boring stuff you ever seen before in your life.
Right.
People
right.
love seeing business meetings. I've not yet seen Succession, but everyone says it's really incredible.
I hear it's amazing. And I didn't know what it was about. And then I saw a trailer and I was like, this does not sound like something I would enjoy at all. So why do I keep getting recommended this? This is ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what? This movie's probably going to be really good, though. I wouldn't doubt it.
I
It's
wouldn't
probably
say
gonna end up
really good. It'll be entertaining.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. We have just left the trailer park, which I forgot to add that before. That's the new segment when we have way too many trailers. We're saying we're going to enter the trailer park.
I kind of love that actually.
We'll have an
like that as well.
Eminem beat drop there or something. Now we got some Marvelish news. Big news in the sense that I think Marvel's learning from some issues, and basically the Marvels, which is supposed to come out July 28th, has now been delayed to November 10th. Brian, you had posed this question to us off podcast. Have there any been delays in Marvel like this?
Right. That I can
And-
really think of in at least recent times. I know we've had at least one, but it wasn't drastic.
Right.
Hmm.
I couldn't think of one, but there probably has one. But the most significant recent one that I could think of was that Blade got pushed back a year.
And that's because the script sucked.
But that was different in the sense that they hadn't even started. Yeah, they hadn't started production from what we knew, though. And I
Yeah.
do wonder if this has anything to do with Kevin Feige also had a interview with Entertainment Weekly where he talked about a bunch of future MCU stuff, mostly obvious stuff. But one of the big things was that about how he admit that there's like there's too much content in a sense, basically, and there's too much Marvel stuff, and that they're going to slow things down. And most notably, another thing that came out reported was that Loki and Secret Invasion are pretty much the only two Disney Plus shows that are like securely locked to come out this year, which
Oh.
is hilarious because there was supposed to be 4 more.
Right. They
that's-
showed so much stuff that's supposed to be coming out in 2023, and a lot of stuff that's supposed to be coming out in 2024. I think they have seen the reception of the Phase 4 of the movies,
Mhm.
especially, and I've noticed that they are starting to the
Drop
rope is
off.
starting to kind of wane and wear a little bit, and I think they're starting to see
Right.
that they might be putting a little bit too much dip on their chip, as one would say.
Mhm.
A little
And
bit.
that's
That
just
could
about
be
the
a
break.
theme of this episode later. Perchance this exact episode of the Fourtress.
It'll be interesting to know how we talk about what happens next year. But yeah, I think they might be
Right.
getting a little wise to the fact that they may have oversaturated the market to the point where
Mhm.
you got a tummy ache from eating too much candy, as some people
Yes.
might say.
Oh, good.
Brian with
Good
all the
metaphor.
fucking
Listen,
metaphors
Yeah,
going
that
to
was
this
a
week. Look at him
fantastic
going.
metaphor.
I got
Brian
more
had
in
his
the bag.
Flintstones vitamins this morning.
I got a tummy ache, bro. I've been eating that Halloween candy for too long, and I want something savory.
Boom.
I need to change it up.
I'm loving this right now. We're killing
This
it
was
right
also
now.
reported by THR. Mentioned that. We'll edit that in.
Brought to you by Skittles. Anyway.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You're absolutely not wrong. I mean, the other shows that were supposed to come out, and they still might, we don't know, but they were What If Season 2, Ironheart, Echo, and Agatha Coven of Chaos. I do slightly feel bad that 3 of those are all the women-led shows.
Oh, no.
But I understand why Loki's coming out. He's a big character. People love him. Also, he's very integral to whatever this MCU story is.
Right.
Clearly.
Mhm.
I would think What If would be a good one to come out as well.
You think so, but considering like it would just be more multiverse adventures.
Yeah, I guess it's so far not connected to what we have going on right now.
Right.
It's-
Mhm.
yeah.
I could see that one still coming out since it is animated and there's probably less budget behind that one. But what is interesting is that apparently both Ironheart and Echo are already done with production anyways.
Oh shit!
So
They're just sitting on it.
I guess. I don't know. It's very interesting though.
Yeah, I guess Ironheart. We'll get, I guess, a little bit to it as this kind of comes to fruition. But it's like it's kind of weird that they introduced her character, and then it's like, where is she gonna end up fitting over the next at least 3-4 movies?
Exactly.
Mhm.
No one knows.
Yeah.
It is interesting too for Marvel to deviate from whatever they're, because I don't think they've ever really deviated largely from the plan. So
Right.
especially if they're deviating because people don't care anymore, and that could just be a sign of the empire starting to fall because
Right. But I also think it might be a thing that because since Bob Iger is back as Disney's CEO, I think the previous CEO, Bob Chapek, was more of like just put it all out, chuck it out, content, put it all out there. And I think that backfired a bit. And now Bob Iger seems like let's go back to what we were doing and get creative with these things and put out more quality than quantity. Basically, is what it
Mhm.
seems like.
Which I'm totally down for because I do think it's exhausting.
Yeah,
And it
Yeah.
makes everything less impactful because I feel like it's hard to care about it.
Right.
exactly.
And also when all superhero movies kind of boil down to the same end result most of the time, it's like spreading it out a
Yeah.
little bit is probably a good thing.
For sure. Let me forget about the
Right.
last one, at least.
Right.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, I think this is ultimately will be a good thing for Marvel
For
as
sure.
well. And I also maybe they see what James Gunn and DC is doing at DC, and they're like, shit, we gotta maybe we gotta step up and kind of keep creative, which is a good thing. It's a
Right.
good thing that these two are keeping each other creative, which is
Yeah.
I think that's the
Mhm.
whole point.
The break of comfort definitely makes for innovation. I only hope that
Right.
it's not a thing that they're rushing production and they needed extra time because they're fucking up or something. We don't need any
Yeah.
more 4 months of reshoots because
Right.
someone posted something online and people didn't like it, so they got scared. Like, I hope it's nothing like that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Yeah, we'll see though. Yeah, we'll see. Marvels. I'm still excited for that movie. The poster, which was also what they showed with the news delay. I will say one thing: it looks different than every other Marvel poster ever, where it's like 18 different faces on it. You know what I mean? How every poster nowadays looks.
Yeah, very minimalist,
Mhm.
which I can appreciate.
Yeah.
Still using the same color scheme, which pisses me off, but that's fine.
Yeah,
That
it's
blue
yeah.
and orange fade has a chokehold on the
Yep.
community.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for a trailer. I'm assuming we'll get that when Guardians comes. But now with this delay, who knows? Maybe they'll hold off a bit. I don't know. All right. That's the end of our little Marvel news. Little last tidbit pieces. I Am Legend sequel. This is from Deadline. Apparently, the most important thing, or the most interesting thing, I should say, is that it's going to use the alternate ending as canon, which means if no one's seen the alternate ending of I Am Legend,
Oh.
Will Smith is alive.
Yeah. What? That is a wild
Yep.
move.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
damn.
weird. Which I guess, like, to be fair, I think most people like that alternate ending more, where he doesn't just, self-sacrifice, blow himself up, and then that's it. Whereas in that alternate ending, he doesn't, and he lives. He gives them the little woman vampire
Yeah.
back to all of them, and then he dips out.
So what's funny is they've done this in a couple of different franchises, which I think is really interesting. What the fuck is that movie? The Descent, I think it is, where the rock climbers go down into the
Yeah.
hole and stuff. So they make a sequel to that movie, which is atrocious, by the way. The first movie is a phenomenal movie for anybody
So
that's interested
good.
in watching it. The second movie is absolute garbage. They used the alternate ending for that movie. And I'm not gonna go into spoilers about it, but yeah, they use an alternate ending in order to make that story move forward. Mass Effect is having an interesting thing, Devin. I don't know if you've seen much about that because new Mass Effect game is going to be coming out, and people are speculating whether or not they're going to return to the Shepard. Slight spoilers for Mass Effect for anybody, I guess, that cares. They're going to go into the slight, maybe bring back a Shepard story. As most people know, Shepard dies at the end of the game. Unless you 100% the game in a very specific way, then you do get a secret ending, and they're thinking they're going to use that as
Right.
canon.
Which I guess would make sense.
But like most people probably don't see that.
Right.
Most people
Right.
play one game one time and whatever, you move on to with your life. So unless you were a big
Right.
epic gamer or whatever, you probably never even knew this existed. So
It's
the
gonna be
same with
so
I Am
funny
Legend.
when,
Like
like-
I Am Legend, if you watch it in the movie theaters, you probably didn't
Yeah.
go see it again because I mean, I like it. It's a good movie to me, but it's not
Yeah.
exactly a movie I'd own on DVD and watch every weekend. And watch the extended director's cut.
Yeah,
Right.
I wonder if they'll come out like on Netflix or something with like a cut, like an alternate cut, so that the story makes sense for people that want to catch up before seeing the sequel.
Maybe. Yeah,
And,
I
like,
don't know. I love
change the
changing
ending.
canon. I think it's super funny.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that is
So it's-
funny. Just so they can get Will Smith in it, we got to have Will
Right.
Smith again.
And I think the
Yeah.
worst part about this is picking Michael B. Jordan to be anything in this movie.
That was the second thing that I didn't. I forgot or didn't realize that Michael B. Jordan is also in this movie.
Yeah.
What? Who is he? What's going on?
Just get him in there.
Michael B. Jordan gives me the same issues that Ryan Reynolds does, in that he's too pretty to be dirty. So whenever they try to put him, they're trying to put him in situations where he's supposed to be dirty and meager and whatever the fuck, he doesn't look right because he's too fucking pretty. His teeth are too white. So,
Right,
I
right.
don't know how he's gonna work in this
That's-
franchise.
Michael B. Jordan's too hot and fit to be in The Last of Us. All right, we don't have gyms like that anymore.
It's true because like how big Michael B. Jordan is, he's eating.
I was about to say,
children
what
for
the fuck?
protein.
I know canned peaches didn't get you looking like that, brother.
He's eating babies or some shit, dude.
Half of all the food that they grow in Jackson goes straight to Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. We'll see what happens with that movie if it even comes out into exist. I'm honestly surprised they didn't just get Jaden Smith again, like they did with that other Will Smith movie,
Oh
and just be like, "Hey,
God.
you be in this with
I
me."
think
again.
Jane Smith's given up on acting, to be honest. He's got other adventures going on. So,
Which is fine because, like, honestly, it almost seemed like the fan was like, "You're gonna be an actor."
yes, I don't think he actually wants to be an actor anymore.
Good for
Mm-mm.
them. All right, next piece, real quick. IGN had what they call a fan fest where they had some game stuff, blah blah blah. Nothing too big. One of the things that this is not a new game, but they showed a new trailer, which is quite hilarious. It's called I Am Jesus Christ.
Game of the year. I'm calling it already. This game looks like it fucking slaps.
I didn't know it was a first person game.
Why is it just Skyrim, but you're Jesus?
I don't know.
Oh my God.
The thing that got me was it like has like the HUD on there, and there's a quest, and it just is the quest is called The Awakening of Jesus.
Yeah, apparently the game allegedly follows from his baptism all the way to his resurrection. So you hit some sick shit in the Old Testament there when you're going through all of that. So
Right?
this game looks like shit.
I mean, it
this
looks
game
like a mod.
like completely just reuse assets
Mm-hmm.
turned into
Yeah.
whatever the fuck
Yep.
this is.
It's just funny, and I hope people play this. I think it's very
Listen.
funny.
If you make it less than $10, I got you.
I've been telling y'all ever since back in the Assassin's Creed games, Jesus needs to be in more video games. I'm just saying.
I mean, he's the first superhero, is he not? Like, come on. Like, you would think everyone would have a game about him by now.
True. And then boom, we're back. Avatar News Corner. It has now become the third highest grossing movie of all time. It passed Titanic. So now it's Avatar, Endgame, Avatar, Titanic. This fucking hilarious.
Absolutely ridiculous.
is this a movie? Does this movie exist? I don't think that. I think this is all just like a weird thought experiment, and I'm being
Brian's being
punked
catfished by the world.
I feel like I am. I just don't know. No one has said anything to me about this movie outside of this podcast. I've not had a single person ask me if I've watched this movie. No one has told me that it's good. I've watched Instagram stories and no one said, "Hey guys, just got out of Avatar." Where the fuck are these people that are watching the shit out of this movie other than Oscar? Like,
I mean, I'm about to say I've spent 9 hours in Avatar 2, dude.
Oh my god.
But I will say what I mentioned earlier before we recorded, the domestic amount it's made is like less than 600 million, but it's made like 1.5 internationally. So it's like clearly not America. Is
China's going to see that shit daily, every day.
every day. They love some blue cats, man.
Yeah.
I think this is probably where it'll last. I don't think it's gonna pass Endgame. It's got like 400 million to go if it were to pass that. Honestly, it could. I don't think it will, but who would have thought it would get to this point? It's kind of nuts.
I'll never get it. I'll never understand.
It's like The Rock's doing the bookkeeping for this
I'm
movie.
telling you, I think we're just making this shit up at this point. We're just saying shit, and it's just considered news. Because what is this?
I don't know, but it's very funny. All right. So this might be our last Avatar news for this movie. So R.I.P. You made all the money in the world.
Somehow.
My God, James Cameron. He don't doubt him. Can't doubt him ever again.
Right.
All right. That is the news, everyone. We have made it again, guys. Should we now hop into our main topic of the week?
Oh boy.
Or should I say shrink into our main topic of the week? Because this time we are getting real small. How small? Quantum small. I don't know what that means. Guys, because we are in the Fortress of
Quantumania. Ant-Man and the
Ant-Man is
Wasp.
in the middle of it? That's crazy.
Ant-Man just really not wanting to be here, just like us.
It's finally here, I guess. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, the third Ant-Man film. No spoilers. I'll say what I told you guys, what I texted you guys when I saw this movie. Basically when I walked out of this theater, I was like, I think I liked this more than Doctor Strange and Thor, just off initial impressions. And I think that might come down to the only expectations I really had for this movie were Kang. And Jonathan Majors met those expectations. And I was like, he killed it. He was great. Everything else was no worse than again, like Doctor Strange or Thor. Like I've said in the past, I don't think there's any Marvel movie personally that's worse than like a 7. I think they're all just fine. Well, if all the mediocre ones are fine. I don't think anything is a horrible dog shit movie. And this is just kind of one of those as well. I think it's just fine for the most part. I think Kang lifts the shit out of this movie for the most part. And I liked some other elements that we'll talk about later. But again, yeah, I think that's why I think with Thor and Doctor Strange, I had more higher expectations. Basically, with Doctor Strange, I was like, multiverse stuff we're going to get into. We didn't really do a whole lot of that. So that's why I felt that way. And the same thing with Thor. I was like, I thought we were going to do something else with Thor, but we ended up doing more of the same and definitely way more CG than I would have liked. And with this, I was like, I expected this mostly. Maybe I expected some things to be a little more different, but for the most part, I was like, this is kind of what I thought I was going into with Ant-Man.
Everybody just take a moment, okay, and realize that coming from Oscar, that is an absolutely scathing review. Okay? The fact that he said he liked it more than Thor and Doctor Strange, which is basically saying it's it could be trash. I mean, it's not this bad, but it could be. Scathing review from Oscar, man. Jeez, just take it easy, man.
He's the IGN
I'll try.
Of this podcast. People like absolute dog shit. 9 out of 10.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, Brian, you want to go? I mean, I can go.
I'm sure. Yeah, I can go. I'm afraid of you going after I go. So for people that don't know, I'm not a huge Paul Rudd fan. I'm also not a huge. I don't really have like a good reason of why I'm not a huge Paul Rudd fan, but I'm just not into it. And I'm not a big Ant-Man fan. I never really found these movies to be. They're usually the weaker ones that I feel like I've seen through the MCU. Unfortunately, it kind of still hits the same with this movie as well for me. This movie hits me in a very specific way that is almost worse than bad for me. In that, it hits in such a weird place of not good, but not terrible that it's boring.
Mediocre.
It hits me the same way that the Jean Grey movie, that X-Men movie, the most recent one.
Oh God, that's really bad.
That's unfair. I don't think that's fair.
I'm with Devin. That's rough.
I'm just saying that it hits me in the same place. I'm not saying that it's as bad as that movie because there's good things to be had in this movie, but I found myself just being bored. You
That's
guys know
fair.
me. I have ADHD, and a lot of what I figure out when it comes to whether I enjoy a movie is how does it feel to sit through it? Am I
Right.
stimulated? And this movie, I found myself pretty understimulated through multiple parts of this movie where I was just like, damn, I'm bored and I'm kind of ready for this to get somewhere better. And that happened to me too many
Mhm.
times for me to be like, this is a good movie for me to be watching. That being
Mm-hmm.
said,
Right.
everything's not terrible about it. Like you said, Jonathan Majors did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
There's some art stuff that's, I think, really good in here. There's some art stuff that I think is
Mm-hmm.
not so good in here.
I
Mm-hmm.
agree. That was one of the things is that I thought the quantum realm was really hit or miss a
Yeah.
lot.
Mhm.
But when it hit, I was like, very cool.
Yeah, I was like, that looks really
Yeah.
cool, and I'm really immersed in
Yeah.
this. And other time, I was like, well, fuck, that looks like shit.
Yeah.
So that's where it kind of
Yeah.
hits me in a weird place, and I couldn't find myself any more than middle ground. So I know you
Yeah.
said nothing's under a 7 out of 10 for you when it comes to Marvel. This hits me at a solid 6.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair. All right, Devin, let the dragon out.
No. I mean, I'm not. I don't have anything really mean to say. I thought it took me a while to get into it, but I think once I was happy to be there. But again, like
Okay.
I think it's just for me. I think it's just Marvel fatigue at this point because you know what's
Yeah.
going to happen. Oh, he's getting big again. Like, okay. I mean, we've seen
Right.
it. We've seen it all at this point. We've seen every single
Yeah.
thing that they can do.
Funny you said that is that, and we'll talk about this more in spoilers, that there is an element towards the end of this that I thought was going one way and it ended up not. I don't know if it was the more predictable way or the less predictable way. We'll talk about it when we
Mhm.
get there. All right. Spoilers in, listeners. So, yeah, if you haven't watched the movie or I mean, I don't know why you're listening to this, but if you have, you hear the spoilers. And if you haven't, you either don't care or I don't know, do what you want.
Why are you here?
I will say, for a movie called Ant-Man and the Wasp, ain't a whole lot of wasp in this movie.
Yeah, true.
I literally I saw it on the when I was leaving, I saw that on the poster or whatever walking out, and I was like, I thought this was just considered an Ant-Man movie. And then I saw the Wasp on there. I thought they fucked up. I thought they didn't mean to put that on like the sign of the theater that I went to.
No.
Yeah, that's rough.
No. It's the other wasp, the dot. The wasp
Yeah.
that can't fly yet. That's basically an ant. So
It's really Ant-Man and
it's that.
Janet the movie, if anything.
Which
Uh,
which was my justification was like, hey, Janet was the original Wasp, but
Mhm.
so technically it's still Ant-Man and the
Right.
Wasp.
Mhm.
But I think it's a formality thing. They can't go from Ant-Man and the Wasp as the second one to just Ant-Man and the third one. Like people would be like, really? You're gonna cut the Wasp
True,
name out of it?
true.
But it's just funny. I also think it's funny that it happened to Evangeline Lilly, who had all them anti-vax takes going on earlier
Oof.
last year or whatever. So it's like, uh-oh.
Oh,
Someone hit the cutting room floor. No.
I didn't even realize that. I had no idea that was a thing. Ooh,
Oh, yeah.
yucky.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to get into that. But yeah. Which actually I did want to get into one thing is that it made me laugh when Marvel keeps just not on purpose, just somehow manages to get these people who have these political anti-vax reasons, and they're all like in the universe like the most brilliant scientists, humanitarians that save the world through science, and it's so funny. That shit made me laugh when she was getting an award for like humanitarian of the year.
oh my god.
No.
Dang.
Oh, that should make me laugh. But yeah, so I mean, that is one of the positives I will say in this movie is I really dug all the Janet stuff. I really like that they gave Michelle
Mhm.
Pfeiffer so much to do in this movie, particularly her relationship with Kang. I thought all of that stuff was really good, and I was like, I could have used more of that stuff in this movie,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer still got it. You know who doesn't still got it? Michael Douglas. He looked like he was phoning it in this whole time.
He gave me really big Harrison Ford vibes in this movie for sure.
He did.
Of like,
he
okay,
did.
he likes the paycheck, and that's about it. I got you.
There were so many scenes that he would have a line that I was just like, I just started laughing. Like when he was like, yes, science and ants. It was like, oh,
I love
God. Like,
I love
I
how
can't be
weird
fucking
they've
lying.
made him with the ants, though. They're like, he's just this weird old man who's in a late stage in his life, and he's just obsessed with ants.
Yeah. Michael Douglas is like, man, back in my day, we didn't have this many green screens.
Right,
Oh, he probably didn't have a single scene done.
That's what I'm saying. Like nothing. I mean, this is I'm not surprised because the quantum realm isn't real. So I'm like, but it
Yeah.
is a lot of CG this entire
Right.
movie.
And that was a tough sell for me as a whole to begin with because we know these CG artists are overworked really badly right now. So we
Yes, yeah.
know that they paid a
Mhm.
lot of money to make sure those CG artists couldn't do anything else anywhere else, so they could do this right here to make it look halfway decent. And it's really funny because there's such a weird like somehow we've gotten to a point where people are so overworked that 2005 CG looks about as good as CG in 2023.
Oh, we're back to the Matrix.
Yeah, you just don't have enough fucking time, it feels like.
Yeah.
It makes for a really uh, I don't even think of I can't think of the word I'm looking for. Just like an inconsistent experience
Right.
of like some things could look so good. It's like okay, we can tell they
Mhm.
spent a lot of time on that, and some shit looks so bad. Wakanda Forever was another great example of that, where it's like some stuff in Wakanda Forever looked
Yeah.
phenomenal, and then stuff that found in that movie looked fucking terrible.
Yeah.
That last act where they were on the fucking boat
Yeah.
looks terrible.
Right.
And I felt the same way for this, where we're just like, as soon as I see an empty area, I know that's where the big fight's about to be because they know they couldn't put the whole CG budget to have a good fight scene and then also have CG stuff in the background. And I'm just like, God damn it. I hate that I know this because it feels awful.
Yeah. No,
Mhm.
I don't disagree with you at all in the sense that a lot of the quantum realm is just colors flashing in front of my eyes. But not to be so entirely negative, I did think
Mhm.
like one of the cool pieces of art and like concepts that was in this movie. I really liked the design of Hank Pym's ship that he steals with his weird
Mhm.
jelly hands that he steers with, which poor Michael Douglas said had to sit there with his arms out like that. That feels like a prison punishment, dude. Jesus Christ. Um,
To map it out, they gave him two fleshlights and they put him on his
They
hands.
really
Honestly,
did.
and then she told him to put him in deeper, and I was like, "Oh, is this a sex joke? I don't know where this is going."
It probably is. This movie's horny at times, dude.
Oh my god, yeah. And they're like, I had needs.
Like-
I had needs. Her name
Me
was
too.
Linda.
Yeah, there was a woman named Lydia or whatever. It didn't work out though.
And yeah,
Oh my
let me. I'm not
gosh.
trying to completely shit on this because, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, there's some stuff in here that I think is super cool.
Mm.
I think this world is super cool. Some of the creatures that everything's no name because no one cares about any of this because it's not actually world building. No
Right.
one's gonna
Right,
matter
right.
next movie. But like, I knew I was gonna love the light bulb dude as soon as I saw the trailer for this movie. I
Yes.
knew that that was gonna be a
Mhm.
character that I was gonna be like, I want a toy of that character specifically.
Yeah.
Make one, please. And there's a lot of stuff like that that I was just like, yeah, you got like the really jelly-ish like technology that I thought was really interesting, and like stuff like this was like
Mhm.
the art department did a great job.
Right.
I just think
Yeah.
they didn't have enough time.
Yeah, yeah.
at times, especially the CG department that I know they probably outsourced a lot of this out to. Just didn't have a fucking enough time to do some of the stuff.
Yeah. I really
Yeah.
I liked Lightbulb Head Guy, R.I.P. I was sad to see him
Yeah.
go.
Oh
But yeah, I mean,
man.
absolutely.
Yeah, he's
I
cool.
would not be surprised. We're never gonna see any of these people ever again. Like,
Absolutely.
I don't think are we ever going back to the
Yeah.
quantum realm? I doubt we're gonna see any
Nah.
of these people ever again. So like, yeah, they're not that. I mean, there's kind of funny in the moment. Like, I like the dude with the forehead mind reading light bulb in his head. I thought
Yeah.
he had some fun shit to do.
I love that actor, fucking Cheaty from A Good
Yeah.
Place.
Yeah.
He does so good.
Yeah, and then I actually did end up liking the little like jellyfish dude who has the whole. He's like, I want a hole. I got
Mhm.
holes.
Yeah, I was a little worried about him because obviously he seemed like he was going to be a comedic relief. And I was
Right.
like, oh, here, this is the character that we're going to have that has the dumb jokes now. Luckily, they left that mostly to another character that we'll get into at some point.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Okay.
I hope we're on the same page on that because
Yeah.
that shit geeked me out every
Okay.
single time.
We'll get
Right.
to him. We'll get to him. I
Oh.
promise. Yeah. So all that was just fine. Like I said, I like Jelly Guy. Funny enough, he's voiced by the actor David Desmalchin, who is in the first two Ant-Man movies as one of his best friends or one of the guys he works with. Obviously
Mhm.
not Ti. He's the other one who's not Michael Pena, the third guy. So he voices the little red oozy jelly guy. So I thought it was funny that they still
that's
got a way
cool.
to get him in this movie at some point. But speaking of
Yeah.
them, I kind of wish Michael Pena was in this movie.
Yeah.
I think
sure.
if there's any comedic relief, I think him being in the quantum realm would have been hilarious.
Really
He
funny,
could,
really
he could have
random.
been pulled
you know
in
what I mean?
too. He could have just been there. Got pulled
Yeah.
into sucked in there.
Other fun quantum realm design. I really liked the design, but the line of their buildings are alive.
Yeah, that was
Wait,
weird.
yours are dead?
Like that was so sad.
Oh man, there was one shot at the end where one building's holding another building. Man, that I didn't like that. I was
Oh.
very sad. Yeah, maybe he was just wounded. He just needs a few more bricks. Needs some new
Yeah.
bricks.
Okay. I was about to say, how do you heal a building?
Right.
What the fuck?
I don't know. But
Some plaster.
I did think that was one of the few jokes that I thought was actually genuinely funny. I thought it worked.
Yeah, and that's another one of those things that it's like that's that Marvel charm, baby.
Yeah.
Where for every one joke that lands, you got 5 more right behind it that are about to fucking sink the ship.
I think I will say that I laughed the least during this movie than I think I have it for a while with Marvel, aside Doctor Strange and Thor. I think I
Right.
laughed. I didn't laugh too much, but they had some jokes, but some unintentional.
This felt exactly the same as Thor for me, where it got to the point
Mhm.
where it's just like, damn, that is such childish humor. That is not funny.
Right. I think the
Uh,
only reason why it worked more for me in this movie as opposed to Thor is because when it wasn't being funny, Kang was on screen.
That's fair.
So
True.
and
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
I was like, I don't need Kang to crack jokes right now. I like
Yeah.
this Kang
Very
right now.
Thank fucking God he didn't do that.
Yeah.
That would have ruined the entire movie for me. That would have been a walkout level.
Yeah.
They hyped up his entrance for like an hour. I was like, can we
It was-
see him? Like, oh,
That was rough to me too. It felt almost like an anime where it's just like,
Yeah.
okay, we're just gonna go through a
Yeah.
whole season where we've never, like, I don't know, Final Fantasy VII kind of situation where like Sephiroth. You hear about Sephiroth for so fucking long in that game before you actually ever see the character Sephiroth. It was
Right.
basically just that all over again. And it was like, that was great storytelling in 1997. It's not great storytelling anymore. We obviously know who it is. We saw the black man, the only other human that was in this world
Right.
pretty early in the movie.
right.
Fucking show him doing something between then and now.
I do
Like-
think it did a very good job of making him seem very intimidating, because I think one of the flaws with Marvel now is like the villains aren't really that, scary. But
Mhm.
like this, like Kang, like the anticipation was there. It's like, ooh, this is gonna be a scary dude.
Yeah.
I don't know that I necessarily agree with that because I don't know. I feel like a good storytelling is very much a show me, don't tell me.
Right.
We've seen so much stuff where people will tell you about how scary someone is, and it's like,
Mhm.
okay. I mean, I see them living in their little houses that are still alive and stuff like that, and they're like, oh my God, he tore our shit apart. And it's like,
Right.
I wanted to see shit on fire, like apart. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I don't know what a good world looks like for these people because it's not my world.
Mhm.
So to show me a civilization that looks more or less like it's thriving to me, I don't know. And then be like, you see what they've done to us? No,
Right, right, yeah.
I don't see it.
The only reason
Like-
maybe it worked for me as well is the sense that once we got to him, I believed everything everyone was saying
Yes,
prior to
for
it.
sure.
Mhm.
But
For
I
Yeah.
totally understand what you're saying. Yeah.
And I think a lot of that's a credit to, like you said, Jonathan Major's fucking performance
Yeah.
when it came down
Yeah.
to this. He says words in such a cadence that just feels so threatening no matter what he
Yeah.
says. Even when he's being not mean, he sounds scary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we didn't know he was scary yet, but he sounded scary
Right.
just by the way he spoke. And that was great.
Mhm.
I love that.
Also mirroring him off the original Kang from Loki is like, very cool to see the really big difference in those two characters. Because the first one,
Mhm.
the guy in Loki, you're like, who is this goofy dude that's like,
Right.
zipping around this
I
little
loved him in
mansion?
Loki so much.
He's a
I
man
thought
who
he was
spent
great.
too much time alone at the end of time and space that he's just gone nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, while we're here, let's just talk about Kang. I do want to, yeah, like I mentioned, I think I love the Kang Janet stuff. I think one of my favorite scenes and moments from both Janet and Kang is that moment. Well, I love a good montage of them fixing shit and them kind of bonding. I loved all that. And then the moment when she touches his mind ship, basically,
Mhm.
it's neural connected to him, and she sees him destroying galaxies, civilizations, everything. And just, I think Michelle Pfeiffer kills it with that look on her face.
Mhm.
And then I love how Kang's like, I won't destroy yours. Like he was willing to. And I'm just,
I think it's a pretty good
when
deal.
that happened in the movie, I'm Janet. I'm like, I might want to think about that offer.
Yeah. But also, and like he explains his logic later, right? Because they talk about incursions, I guess when two universes collide.
Right.
And that's a lot of suffering there too. So in his mind, I wish they'd gotten a little bit more into it to justify what he's doing. He's like, I try to save one universe over another, so I just pick one, and so they don't collide, stuff like that. I think that would make him a more fleshed out character too. If it's like, but I mean, I guess the point is that he just kills people to kill people because he's
No,
kind of
I
the
think
bad
you're
guy.
absolutely onto something.
No, I mean, we're probably on the same point with that because it's like after having a character like Thanos, we know we can have a character that does have that moral gray area, that moral dilemma,
Mhm.
and how that exists. So to have Kang do something similar, maybe that would be, I don't know, for one end, to be, oh, it's too similar, whatever. But at the same time, it makes more sense to have a character like that because
Right.
then you can at least have some sort of empathy, quote unquote, something, just anything else than just making it be like, oh, this is just a bad fucking guy that's really bad.
Right.
Because
Right.
that's all we've heard throughout this movie. And they did nothing to flesh that out at
Right,
all. Other than the
right.
fact that we don't know why this guy's bad. He's just crazy, you know?
Exactly. They do that every time though. And I feel like if they actually, like Thanos, they didn't, right? And a few villains they have not. But like if they actually said, because, the TVA was trying to keep one timeline to stop this kind of chaos, right? But now that it's open, universes colliding and stuff, there's a lot of lives lost, a lot of suffering that way too. So like, this is what they were trying to prevent. The original Kang was trying to prevent this from happening. But now, so I just wish they'd kind of flesh that out a little bit more to Kang, maybe feeling a little bit more righteous and at least, having that open of like, who's really wrong here? Because like, it's only a matter of time until maybe you have an incursion in your own universe. And I'm sure they'll get into that maybe in the next Doctor Strange movie.
I've loved the exploration of, is the decision that these people doing is it right? You know what I mean? Especially when it comes down to these superheroes. because so far, it's been a very good guy, bad guy, pretty clean cut. But
Mhm.
then like we once again in this movie play around with the fact that like is what Scott Lang did he do the right thing?
Right.
And then they make a joke about it as they always do, and then it's like okay,
Where he has that moment at the end and he's like questioning himself. It's like,
That
did I
was
do the
great.
right thing? And it's like, that's the thing with some of these villains, they see a bigger picture and the heroes are just like, bah, like right to the, like, no,
Right.
like just, I'm not even going to think about it. So it's like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I just kind of wish they'd fleshed that out a little bit more, but then, right
I
behind
agree.
that, Michelle Pfeiffer's just like, no, but you're just so evil. You kill people. So, like,
Right.
I did like the line where she asked him, "What will you do when you go?" And he just goes, "Win."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh shit, oh shit." No, but you guys are absolutely right. I think we're all on the same page. I think that's one of the flaws with Kang's character in this is that everything's a bit confusing. And I don't know if that's
Mhm.
Marvel being like, we're gonna clear that up in the Kang Dynasty later type of thing, or in Loki or something. But it's like I still like when I first saw this movie, I was like, he's the one that everyone was afraid of that's destroying for the sake of conquering. But then, like, as we're talking now, it's a bit confusing. It's like, or was he destroying to prevent more destruction? Or so I think
Right,
it was
right.
left a little bit unclear, especially with the post credit scenes, which we'll talk about later. It's
Mhm.
like, oh wait, maybe he wasn't the one we were all afraid of, even though he was. It's still left a little bit unclear,
Right,
and I think that
right,
might be a
right.
flaw of the movie,
Right.
Mhm.
and absolutely not a flaw in Jonathan Majors. Although I will say, playing a little devil's advocate as I was watching the movie, I was like, what accent is this? He's got like 5 accents, I feel like, in this movie. I need to watch it again because I was like,
Mhm.
sometimes I was like, does he have an accent now? He definitely has an accent now. But what's going on?
Yeah.
It's a very interesting performance, but I really like it a lot.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, just the whole scene when he first captures Scott and he doesn't give a fuck about anybody. He's like, I will kill your daughter in front of you and put you in basically a time bubble where you have to
Mhm.
relive her death over and over again. That's some cold shit.
I know this would have been dark, so I get why they didn't do it. So instead, they just turned her sideways, like, "Ooh, look at me playing with her."
What if he
But I really
killed her?
wanted to do something that was maybe not kill her, but maybe like break an arm or something, and then like reverse it
Yo!
to make you
Ooh.
be like, "Oh shit!" Like, okay, like this is like I just didn't feel like he wasn't when he said, "Does it look like I'm playing?" I was like,
Right,
"It
right.
kind of still does. I need a little bit more.
You
Give
could
me
do
something,
worse. You
brother."
could do worse.
That would have been cool, to be honest. Yeah. Again, I think that's something where it's unclear, where it's like, I don't think he has time manipulation power set right now with the weapons that
Right.
he's at his
No,
disposal.
and
So
that's the thing too, is like he was very vague in his power. So he had like telekinesis, he had like energy kind of powers.
he had disintegrator beam powers.
Right.
Sometimes.
And it seems like he could have stopped Scott Lang any way he wanted to with his telekinesis. But at the end, he's just blasted people with lasers. And it's like, I mean, we've seen that
It
before.
was very convenient that they broke his suit so that he couldn't just instantly disintegrate Scott Lang at the very end of this movie.
Right. But he did kick his ass.
To punch him to death. That he stomped him. That was incredible.
Which that was the only thing I wanted to see in this movie. I only just want to see Paul Rudd's joking ass. I knew he couldn't joke his way out of getting this ass beating.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that they did that. 'Cause
Boy,
he did
did
try
he.
to joke his way out of it,
He
and he
did.
did get his ass beat.
Yeah. I like at one point he punched him like 2 different, like it was kind of like an elastico punch. It was very weird. Like, but it was like, ooh,
He was
that
pulling
was different.
some future Creed 3 shit. I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
He boxing his ass right now, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, just the physicality of him once he didn't have those weapons was great. But even with the weapons that he had, considering he was like, I'm a god, basically. He doesn't have a lot of big movements to him because he knows he can just crush anyone in his path without effort,
Right.
almost.
It's one of those
Mhm.
I've never had to train kind of situations because I've never had anyone like really challenge me.
Right.
Mhm.
Which is a pretty popular trope for really powerful villains.
Yeah.
I did love though when they were in small form, like Wasp and Ant-Man, that he'd just be like flick him with his finger, like they'd
Yeah.
go flying across the.
It's like he could have murdered you. You guys could have seriously died, but instead he just flicks you because you're that much of nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's killed Thor. I mean, he said he's killed multiple Avengers. He's killed them.
Yeah, more than just
To the
Thor.
point where he doesn't even know who Ant-Man is. He doesn't even know Thor's name. He don't give a fuck. He's like, are you the one with the hammer? Like, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
And that's what makes his kind of like towards the ending feel so sour to me personally.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to I don't know how we're going as far as chronologically.
We're kind of just going with characters at this point, so yeah, we can talk about it.
So as far as King goes, like when he gets down to the point where they're actually fighting him, one thing we talked about his powers, he had disintegration beams. Suddenly, we watched him disintegrate 5 people before he started fighting Scott and Hope. And suddenly his disintegration beam stopped working to disintegrate and started just blasting people over somewhere.
Right.
What the fuck was that?
Yeah.
I get it. You have plot armor. That's fine. But it's just like, we watched this man do so much to be like, I need more like American media to like take some shit from anime when it comes down to stuff. Like we can tell when someone's like really like strong and stuff. You don't have to nerf them immediately to make them worth fighting. Like find another way to beat them or something. But like Scott should have been evaporated instantly. First fucking punch. And then that happened. And then there's just some other situations where just like I feel like suddenly this man got a lot less cool than he was in the beginning of the movie. And there was no reason behind it. Nothing happened. They didn't break his shit. It wasn't like, Namor and Wakanda Forever, where it's like, okay, this makes sense of why he's now weaker. It was like, no, I'm just Scott Lang.
Yeah.
I turned big and turned small.
Yeah.
So, but he can kill Thor. Thor is way stronger than Ant-Man. What the fuck? Like,
it is funny when you think about that.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Like if you get pretty comfortably dispatched by Scott Lang, the Wasp and his daughter, I don't think you're really that guy. I don't think you're him.
Right.
So that's why I was hoping for more of a situation where, like, I know there's a bunch of variants of King, but I was really hoping this one would survive, and maybe like be able to tell other people about what's happening or do something. I don't know. I just wanted something else than just him being yeeted into the cyberspace or whatever the fuck he
I'll
went.
be honest, to this day, I don't think he's dead. I don't think he's gone.
I wouldn't have thought he was dead if it wasn't for the post-credit scene, which we will eventually get into.
You're absolutely right, but I still think, honestly, like, we'll see in the future, but if this stands, I think it's a waste, personally, because
agree,
this
100%.
one seems like the scariest. He's the one that everyone was like, we exiled him for a reason. Like, this one, I feel like should be the big threat, which is why I think there's a chance he is still alive somewhere in the quantum realm, even if he's now maybe in a quantum realm. In the quantum realm, he got so small or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, he's in that center thing where it's just a bunch of other versions of him, which is kind of.
I truly hope he is, because I think I agree with you. I think he has the best fleshed out story of what we'll probably end up getting as far as King exists.
Right.
So yeah, we'll see.
I hope so. I hope he's alive. But again, if they didn't show like his suit is damaged, he doesn't have as much powers right now. That's how the Wasp and Ant-Man beat him. I would have had bigger of an issue, but I was like, this is some comic book shit, So it's
that's
fine.
the thing.
It's whatever.
I've watched shonen anime for most of my life, and most people beat other people because they have enough heart. Even though they have 18 broken limbs and literally are dead twice.
Enough.
So like, it's just one of those things. But at the same time, I just felt too quick. Like they didn't get their ass beat enough. It felt pretty easy for them to dispatch them until it got to the very end where he started getting his ass beat, and that was solely because he was by himself.
Yeah,
and I don't know. Suddenly forgot how to fight. I don't. It was stupid.
No, I agree.
I do think they did a good job of. Like when the ants came, I think that was pretty cool.
Yes.
Like, he put up a shield, and like the ants were just so overwhelming that he ran out of juice. I think that was pretty. I bought that.
That was the next point I was gonna bring up. Was it's an Ant-Man movie? You need some. They've somehow found a way to put some ants in the fucking movie.
Because I never known what the fuck Ant-Man had to do with being an ant. Because I just know he turns small, he turns big, and it's like, but he doesn't do ant stuff. He doesn't really have ant powers, does he? Like. It doesn't feel like that to me from what I've seen.
Right.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, whatever, the gross movie as a whole. But this one of the big things they showed is when they showed all the variants of Scott Lang when he was trying to get to the thing. They were showing the possibilities of him. They moved like ants.
Yeah,
and I was like, that's pretty fucking cool that they did that.
That was
like,
cool.
That looked cool. That was one of the better parts of the movie to me was when that happened.
Yeah.
And then they actually had real ass ants here. Now that was very convenient that the ants happened to just, spend 1,000 years becoming the smartest civilization on Earth or on the fucking universe. But here they are. There's some ants. Fucking whatever.
I feel like it happened multiple times where Hank Pym was just like, ants. Like, and
Ants.
he would just say nothing else. Like, yes, ants. It's ants.
And that really pissed me off. This is kind of not really in regards to anything, but nothing makes me fucking madder than, because this happened in Lord of the Rings too, where there's people losing their lives, whole civilizations are crumbling, and then Legolas has the fucking audacity to have a fucking one-liner.
Oh, he's got some quips.
Yeah, this is Gondor right here. All these people are dying. Literally, people died 30 seconds before Hank got here, and then he goes, "Sorry, I'm late." These people have died.
Lightbulb Head is dead because of you.
That man lost his entire. He's dead. Oh. Sorry, I'm late. I told you I had a lot of ants.
Yeah.
Huh?
Was cool.
I officially love Brian's Michael Douglas impression.
It's just so garbage, dude. Like you serve that shit like a plate of cold pizza. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
That with Lightbulb Guy also, like, it was kind of sad to me how creative Kang was in killing him. He's like, I'm just gonna avatar bend your light back at you.
That was
And
awesome.
everybody else, I'm just gonna zap with a laser beam. It's like, for you, you get a special treatment, buddy.
I'm
Like,
not gonna lie, because they knew that he was a sick ass character, so they had to let him go out in a sick ass way.
Yeah.
They didn't even get a
Yeah.
one liner or anything after he died. He just fucking got his head blown off.
That
And
was-
you never saw him ever
yeah.
again.
That I actually felt bad for that death though. He was the coolest one. I was like,
yeah,
oh
he was the
damn,
coolest. He was
damn.
strong. He was
He
overpowered.
was strong.
He was
Yeah,
dope.
he was very strong.
No idea what the hell he is, to be honest, but that
Nope.
was cool shit.
And you'll never know. I don't
Yeah.
even know if he had a name. I don't think he did.
I don't remember.
How many holes do you think he had? Maybe
one
none.
extra now.
Also, speaking of that, Scott Lang said he had 7 holes. We need to get this straight now. Do humans as a
See?
society not
Yeah,
consider your
nose,
eyes holes?
2, 4.
Ears. I've already hit more than
6.
7.
Oh wait, hold on. 2,
2, 4, 6,
6,
7,
7. Yeah,
8,
he wasn't
9.
counting his eyes.
9.
That's what I'm saying. I think he wasn't counting
9.
his eyes, which I feel like eyes would be holes, right?
No, I don't think
Yeah.
so.
No? Eyes aren't the
you're-
holes?
Not if you're alive. I think they're talking about, these aren't holes. They're sockets.
You can get shit in your eyes and it'll do some shit to you.
That's
Yeah,
we just need to clear that up. All right, so we officially only have 7 holes. Eyes do not count.
Mm.
I'd say so.
Oh, wow.
That's still up to for debate,
Oh,
maybe.
Internet's going to jump on that one.
That's true.
Do eyeballs count?
But yeah, going back to the probability storm where they multiple versions of Scott. The fucking Baskin Robbins joke worked for me once. It did not work for me 3 times.
Agree. 100%.
I was like, I got
100% agree.
it. Christ.
No, what you were saying about the other guy being in there and being in the quantum realm randomly would have been funny. I think that would have been a better idea than putting Baskin Robbins, Scott Lang in
Yeah.
there instead. Where I was like,
Mhm.
okay, we get it. He worked at Baskin
Or
Robbins.
if you're doing that, show me a bunch of weird Scotts. Like, why are
Right.
they all Ant-Man and one Baskin Robbins guy? You know?
Because CGI, it's cheaper. Just multiply.
You hit the nail right there for sure.
I was just kind of curious why, if he tried to grow in that scene, why they instantly would die. Like if they tried to grow bigger. I didn't get that. Because like it seemed like 2 or 3 of them tried to just get big and then they just like unraveled and fell over and died and stuff. And it was like,
I couldn't explain that to you.
I think in the credits we saw that there was like a professor of physics that like consulted for this movie, maybe a few. So
What?
maybe they had some say in this stuff.
Oh my
I
goodness.
figured it had something to do with trying to get too big, maybe, and it was going to make you unravel just because of the space that you were in.
Maybe,
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was weird because it's like, yeah, why did he need the anthill to get him up there when he just could have gotten that size?
Right.
And then gotten up there.
Mhm.
So
I did though, and this is a good segue into the next little piece we should talk about, which is Cassie. I did like that the reason they all worked together was because he was trying to save Cassie. His whole focus on
Yeah.
all of their focus was on Cassie, and I thought that was really well done. Which
Yeah.
is like the big emotional connection in this movie that pretty much worked for me for the most part, which is Scott and his daughter Cassie, and their relationship.
Mhm.
I thought for the most part it worked, considering she's recasted. She's a new Cassie. She's not the one that was from Endgame. I thought she did a good job. There's not much to her. I feel like she's just kind of a quippy kid.
we got to work on the characterization of these children.
Fair.
She just feels exactly like Kate Bishop to me. I
Yeah?
feel almost no different. She almost looks like Kate Bishop. I would think that him and
Yeah.
Hawkeye share the same daughter.
And they
At
both
this point.
wear purple, so yeah.
Yeah, I really did not like that. It was just felt like the same exact issue that I was seeing with Hawkeye all over again, where it's like, oh, you weren't really that good of a dad, but you tried your best because you were
That's
working
fair.
too hard and doing this shit. And I was like, oh. And then she's quippy and always in trouble and stuff like that because she wants to be just like dad.
Right.
It's like, okay, they both went through the same shit with Endgame and stuff where it's like, oh shit, really bad stuff happened to me because, they were trying to kill us all
Right.
when I was a child. So now I want to do this. What is happening here?
Yeah.
We can't have every daughter just go through the same trauma
Yeah.
and want to be you. This is ridiculous. So yeah, she was fine.
Yeah, she's fine. I did like
She was fine.
that moment she went big, because I've always wondered, I was like, why don't they all just go big? Like, being
Yeah.
big seems like the play, bro. Like,
Also, why don't they
Mhm.
all get wings?
Yes.
because Hank
Great
Pym
point.
hates Scott.
Ant-Man has struggled so many times solely because he does not have wings like the Wasp.
It's true.
Yeah, they really should work on that. They should all be wasps or hornets. you know,
Yeah, right.
Praying mantises.
I mean, there are flying ants. There are ants that are able to fly. That is a
Yeah.
thing.
True, true.
Also, I don't like the fact that, and this is just a trope. I'm just being a pissant for the sake of being one.
Pissant.
Pissant. Yeah, see what I did there? But how come whenever things get big in TV and movies and media, they have to move slower?
Oh,
you
I
would think
know.
your speed would be
Mhm.
relative to how large you are.
Right.
I can run pretty fast, so like I wouldn't suddenly be slower. The
Yeah.
fuck? Like, I don't understand. Like, I'd be moved the trajectory I'm used to moving. Like, gravity doesn't change
Right.
because I'm bigger.
It's that weird
Like-
perspective shift where, like, because usually you see it from a bystander who's small, and so to them, that person is moving slower than you would, I guess, is what, like,
You wouldn't think so. I'd probably be moving way faster than you because I'm bigger.
it's true.
I know they
It's true.
talk
I
about
don't
some
know.
of that with like the big and small stuff because like smaller animals have a smaller brain, so they process information quicker
'Cause they
so you have less time
dumber.
to live.
Right.
Yeah, you just have less time to live, so you move. That's why hamsters move their head so fucking fast. But like, if we're all humans and I'm just a bigger human, like if I'm fucking running, bro, there ain't no way you gonna be able to run away from me. Like you are stepped on, dude. I don't get it.
Be like the armored titan.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's no way you're getting away from that shit.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good point.
My other complaint would be this movie is a pretty big victim of them just taking their helmets off for no fucking reason other than to show the
Oh,
actors.
yeah.
Like
Big
in
time.
between action beats in the same scene, they're just
Yeah.
popping that helmet on and off like within 5 seconds. I was like, Jesus, guys, just leave the goddamn helmet on.
I hate it the most for Kang because you can already see his face.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's no reason for her to take his visor off because his visor still shows his face.
Yeah.
They were in such a hurry to get rid of that. It was a cool look too, but yeah.
Yeah, I like
they were always in a hurry.
the blue visor face look, and I also like him without
Yeah.
it when he's got like the imprint of like the mask on his face, and it almost looks like he has
Mhm.
tears
Those
running down
scars.
his
Yeah.
face. I thought that was cool,
Mhm.
nice touch.
Yeah.
Let's talk about MODOK.
Oh my god.
I knew Devin was gonna hate
Oh
it. I knew
my
he was gonna
God.
hate it.
So that's why the pink guy couldn't be the only butt of the joke in the movie because we had to sit there and make MODOK only the fucking shit fodder of every single joke that ever
Oh.
existed in this fucking movie.
This was
God damn
fantastic,
it!
like-
if we can't give Darren a fucking win,
I know.
without
They
beating
could-
that
They were
man's
like
ass.
cracking jokes as Darren is dying after doing something heroic, man. They were
It was
cracking
so
jokes at this
funny.
poor man. Oh
I
my god.
remember MODOK in the comics when I was a kid, but I don't remember if he had a serious characterization. But I felt like he had to, right?
No, I'm pretty sure
you
he's
can't-
been a
how?
joke for most of
How
the
would
time.
he
He's always
be?
been a joke.
Kind of.
I'm glad they made fun of the fact that he looks fucking stupid.
Oh
Man
yeah.
looks
Oh yeah.
ridiculous. The CG on this character is fucking atrocious.
I love how they stretch his actual face to make him look like a meme. Like you could make memes of this movie and it wouldn't have to be much different. And like the little shot of them like finding him and like they're pulling his naked body up.
You see his
in
butt.
In the light, and you see his little butt and like the little arms and stuff. I'm like, oh my god! Like, where have we started with Iron Man 1 and we are?
He's like
here.
Humpty Dumpty.
This is where we are now.
Scott Lang is a monstrosity for real for making that happen to him.
It's true. Like,
Yeah.
and I kind of like that. Like, all right. So I was okay with MODOK throughout this movie, only in the sense that, yeah, he looked like MODOK. He looked fucking ridiculous. So that's what he should be. And also, I did like the twist that they played it from the first movie where he was the villain of that. He was Yellow Jacket, and when
Mhm.
Scott fucked him up and squished him down into the quantum realm, he was stuck like that.
Because he did. He fucked him up.
Yeah.
And I love how Cassie has this weird like trauma from him. She's like, "That's the B man." Oh God. Yeah, I will say I definitely
Ugh.
think his mask down look is way better, but the mask up
Yeah.
did it. I got used to it. It's a little jarring at first, obviously, but then I was just like, all right, this is what it looks like. It's still fucking
It was-
weird, but
It is
my
what
A
it
God.
is.
jump scare every single time. Every single time I saw it, it was like a horror movie. I was terrified every single time that shit popped up.
Oh, I just laughed every time. I was like, I can't believe they did this. Like, I can't believe they put
Yeah.
MODOK in. It's such a ridiculous character.
You could take him out and nothing changes.
Right.
I bet you there's a cut where there is more to this because I think it would have worked a little more. His turn to a hero at the end, I think would have worked better if there was more MODOK. Because like I think I loved how Kang don't give a fuck about him. Kang's like, do not
Yeah.
speak in my presence. Like I loved all that. I was like, I wanted more of that just to show how shitty his life is for him to then make that turn. I think would have been better. But I will admit, his death, fine. But the line where he's like, I got to die an Avenger was so funny.
You've always been a brother to me, Scott. I really do you.
I thought that was so good.
Okay, at least I got to die at avenging.
Scott's like,
Yeah.
it's been a long day.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, what did he say? A lot happened today.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was such a ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the few jokes that hit for me. But yeah, I just didn't really like that he just was only there to be fucking emaciated by every other character on screen, including
Yeah.
the little girl that was getting her ass beat and struggling for her life the entire time. Was still like, yeah, man, stop being a dick.
Don't be a dick.
You're right.
It's never too late.
I won't be a dick.
And I will admit, I did like the through line of he only responds to MODOK, but then by the end he's like, "My name is Darren."
But that's the I struggle.
It needed
with
more. I will admit, it needed more.
I just struggle with it because it just gives me same energy as Goat screaming in Thor Love and Thunder, where it's just like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
we get it.
Yeah.
We get it. You're making a joke.
I think
here.
it was better
We
than
get it.
that.
I
but-
thought, yeah,
I mean,
thought
it was
Goats
solely because
worse.
it was a real character, but it's just one of those
Yeah.
things that's kind of like, you just needed to tell a joke in this moment. So he was used to do that. He was just
Right.
the person that brought the joke.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's fair.
They did
That's
it in
fair.
like the only way they could, because I think in the comics, MODOK will actually be in like the regular world, and that shit would never
Yeah.
fly. So just they did it the right way. Like, you know, they softened us up with Lighthead Man and
Yeah.
like those weird horse things and the flying, whatever the other shit in the quantum realm. It's like, yeah, I can believe this. Like, this is not unbelievable. So
I mean, yeah, because in the comics, MODOK is a completely different character. He's a different person.
right,
He's
right.
I can't. His name is, I think, George Harrison, something like that, in the comics, and
Just the
he's a
whitest name of all
scientist for AIM, and he develops some stuff to make him smarter, and it literally just makes his brain bigger. Then that's why he looks the way he does, and he fucks
Basically,
himself
just
up.
Green Lantern all
Oh
over
my
it.
God.
Oh my god, yeah, a little bit.
I am the machine killer death thing, only designed for death, also known by my other name, George.
And that's. Oh, I guess we'll just mention Bill Murray was in this movie for 5 minutes for no reason. What
Yeah,
the
that
For
was
literally
like, he
no
must have
reason.
just been walking by one day. He's like, hey, I want to be in one of these movies. So just throw me in there.
So-
He's another one of those motherfuckers that just does side quests.
That was
at this point.
so weird.
And a lot of his lines were kind of awkward to me, but I think that's just Bill Murray. Like,
I mean, I think it was hilarious and weird that he's like just talking directly in front of Hank Pym how often he had sex with his wife in the quantum realm.
yeah.
Like the whole, I was like, "Yo, Hank, what the hell,
It's like,
bro?"
didn't he say at one point, he's like, no, Hank, we need to tell you. Like,
Yeah,
my anatomy is a human in all the right ways. that
right.
matter. It's like, that is just very awkward. Like, but his timing was just a little off. I don't know. I think that's just Bill Murray being Bill Murray.
Either that or he was reading them off a post-it note or something.
Yes.
Before we get to mid-credits, real quick, my last question at the end that I was surprised about, where I mentioned earlier. I was surprised, honestly, that Scott and Wasp got out of the quantum realm. I thought this
Yeah.
would be their quote-unquote death of their characters, is that
Mhm.
they would be stuck in the quantum realm. And I kind of would have liked that more, I think.
I agree. That seemed very easy randomly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that would have been cool too. It would have been a better ending if they did do that. But I think the reason that they didn't is because now they can retire both of them, and because if they left them
Right.
down there, I feel like you'd have to follow up and be like, Hank's trying to find them again, just like you found Michelle
That's true.
Pfeiffer. So it's like, because he already kind of said he wanted to retire, and it's like, okay, now I'm done.
That was the thing as well to me. If we're gonna retire anyone's character, why not Michelle Pfeiffer? She kind of was the one that caused all this shit. Why wasn't she the one that was like, I'll stay to make sure he doesn't leave? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is your fault. And you just leave. She was the one that was out first, actually. She got out before everyone else did. Fuck
Yeah.
you.
Hey, man,
This
she
is your
spent
fault.
30 years trapped down there. Give her a break.
And she should have spent 30 more. The fuck? Like, because if you didn't lie to us after those 30 years you've been there, then we busted our ass to get you out.
That's
and
true.
then you lied to us, so we all end up there. Fuck
That's
you.
true.
You gotta stay. I don't know.
You gotta stay.
Yeah,
That's funny. Yeah,
fair
that's true.
point.
Mid-credits. It's a bunch of Kangs. It's the Council of Kangs.
Yeah, the Council
I
of
hate
Rick.
all of the ones that they showed us. I hope none of those become the main king because
Oh,
they're all boring as hell.
They probably all come back.
One had a weird ass Rastafarian accent. I didn't like any of that.
Big Rick and Morty energy for sure.
Yeah. So at least the main three that we saw seemingly are Ramatut, which is the Egyptian one. Immortus is seemingly the other main one that was talking. And then the more mechanical one is potentially Iron Lad. Not quite sure.
Hmm.
Doesn't really matter. We'll see them probably later someday, either in Kang Dynasty.
Yeah, like what? I mean, that was the kind of confusing thing. What do they want to do?
That's
wanna,
what
like-
I'm saying. Where it's like when it comes to this Kang, they're like, "Oh, he's dead." Now
So now we can do stuff.
it seems like they want to punish the main MCU because they know too much about the multiverse now, though. So are they all the villains as well? And the one that was the main Kang from this movie was exiled because he was just too crazy than the rest of them.
And also, what was he holding them back from when he was stuck in the quantum realm? What was he holding him back? He wasn't holding him back from anything. It's like, oh, he has to die before we can do something. Like what? Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. It's again, this is all blind faith that Marvel clears this up in Kang Dynasty.
Which is, I don't think that's good enough for me. You
That's
know what
fair.
I mean?
That's fair.
Like, this is supposed to be the introduction to the new phase of the Kang phase of this storyline. And I'm left just as confused as I would have been from Loki. Maybe more. Loki made a
Absolutely.
little bit more sense to me, to be honest, because at least that man had time to explain what the fuck he was doing.
Right.
The conversations with him with the new Kang that we've seen in this movie were pretty lackluster. There wasn't much because everyone's too busy quick to call him a bad person. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's the problem with this whole phase, though, is they're softly setting things up with a lot of ambiguity because I don't think they know what they really want to do next. Like it's not as solid as the last, when the Marvel movies were building to Infinity War. Every movie gave you a next little piece of the puzzle, and it was very well laid out. Now they're just vaguely setting stuff up that they can bring back at any time that keep it a little ambiguous. So
I will only slightly push back on that in the sense that I don't think every movie from the early Marvel days did do that. Like, I think some of them did, but like Iron Man 2 didn't fucking push anything.
Yeah. We didn't get deep into it until like post Iron Man stuff. I feel like sure. We got to anything that alluded to anything new. You know what I mean?
But once they were on that track, you knew that eventually the Infinity War, like the stones, right? It was about finding the stones, locating the stones.
Right. Movie. But it took a while to get there.
Guardians of the Galaxy was probably the biggest one that made us feel like we're actually going somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah. I also think that, look, this movie's sitting at like a 40-something on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like currently the second lowest Marvel movie ever. And I don't think it deserves that. I think it's a collective everyone just kind of decided, I think we're exhausted and this is the movie we're going to take it out on.
I think I agree with you 100% because I know Eternals went through the same thing where it got a pretty low rating, which I think Eternals and this movie are both, like you said, better than Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I agree.
Probably the same as Thor Love and Thunder for me, which I felt was pretty just not that much to me.
Right.
But to say a 40, like to say it's like a 4 out of 10 is really harsh.
I think it's pretty harsh. I think it's a little harsh.
Yeah.
But I think it might just show Marvel, hey, I think we need to, like what they're doing, take our time, get our shit together a little bit and, pump out some better stuff,
It's interesting because they're doing this weird thing where they're taking stuff from some of the older comics while also mixing stuff from some of the newer comics.
Yeah.
And some of the newer comics are so nuanced with much more interesting stories that make more sense to the lives we live now in 2023 that you would think they would take more from that. And it seems like they're always almost getting there. Like Devin has said earlier, they're almost getting there. And then they squander it by just making it back to the cookie cutter formula. And it's like, X-Men talks about such interesting stories.
Right.
Like even some of like the new Iron Man stuff tells such interesting stories. The Black Panther, the new Captain America tells such interesting stories. And then you lose it to make it more status quo bullshit.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is so funny because I think DC's finally going to realize that they have better stories to tell than Marvel. And it's going to finally start showing on the big screen.
Right.
I'd also think it'll be a benefit for DC in that since they're starting over, they can start with the best stuff. Whereas Marvel, it's like, it's been over a decade and it's like, all right, we got to keep going. And like, no offense, but not every comic is gold. Not every character is gold. I think you can make.
But then we talk about stuff like Secret Wars. That's supposed to be like a really like gold plated like comic series. And they're making a TV show. So it's like, ooh, is that going to fuck that? Like, is that going to be as good as everyone remembers it to be? Or is it going to be trash because it's a TV series?
I think this is where DC has a big opening. Because if they decide to tell more nuanced and like dark and kind of gritty stories, I think that they, that's where I think that's kind of where we're at. Like what we're maybe audiences are more hungry for now. I think that Marvel kind of walking up to that, they just never really say anything with their movies other than go watch the next one, right? Like it's, you don't leave a Marvel movie thinking like, like the villain really had a good point there. Like, let me think about that.
Or select few. Yeah.
I feel kind of conflicted,
Right.
And like, I think DC movies have a good way of doing that to an extent. Like, the first Wonder Woman, I think did a great job of that, of like, showing a growth of a character, but also showing a lot of human darkness in that movie. Marvel just doesn't do that enough, I think. And I don't really think they want to wade into those waters. It's just an entertainment, like flashy lights and stuff. But I think we're all just kind of tired.
And I think that's why personally, I still think Winter Soldier is the best Marvel movie because it's not like the best thing in the world, but it's more of a political spy thriller than your average superhero movie. And I think same thing with like Guardians is that it's not your typical superhero movie. It's more of a comedic heist movie.
And I think Guardians of the Galaxy might have been the worst thing to happen to Marvel because it was so good. They just kept doing it.
Yeah.
To the point that Thor is just Guardians of the Galaxy.
Absolutely.
Like once they found out like those jokes were landing and they liked having a lighter version of this world, it just became the standard. And I think that sucks because now it makes me not even like Guardians so much. That's why I'm not so excited for the new movie to come out because it's like, well, now I've seen 4 movies in the past 2 years that have looked exactly like this and felt exactly like this. That it makes me not even like the movie that I loved. So like Guardians of the Galaxy is one of my favorite Marvel movies. And now it's not.
We'll see.
It's rough out here.
Yeah. Like if they start leaning into more of those stories that are worth telling, I think they'll
Yes,
do better.
we're at a point in time where people don't want cookie cutter anymore. People want deep depth. Like, it doesn't have to be the deepest thing in the world, like we said, but it needs to have some kind of gray area. The black and white
Yeah.
feels good, but we've seen Game of Thrones, we've seen The Last of Us,
Yeah.
we've seen so many
Yeah.
things that push that boundary of like, what does good and bad look like?
Right.
Yeah.
We've been through real political situations now in this day and age that, like, I know allegories don't need to be in everything. Some things could just feel good, but also I think there's some things that are worth talking about.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm biased. I like that kind of art.
Yeah. I will say though, at least Marvel seemingly has gotten past the villain is just a mirror image of the hero, but in a different color suit.
Yeah.
That was like the
Yeah.
entire first arc of these movies.
They've also
Right.
been playing with these colors a little bit now. Now red seems to be the good guys. They be shooting red shit at the guy shooting blue shit.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
usually the blue shit's the good guy. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, look at them.
Star
They
Wars has
started that
taught
with
us well.
Shang-Chi.
Embrace the Sith. Yeah.
That's true. And quick last thing before we move on, post credits, clearly just a scene from Loki season 2 where it shows again Kang is another different version of Kang known as Victor Timely is there.
Very timely. The worst name on earth. And of course, that's straight from the comic books.
Yeah. And Loki is scared and Owen Wilson's like, why?
I really thought Loki would show up in the movie to like kind of, because I thought that the Kang was the Kang that, was the end of what that was hinted at the end of
Again,
Loki season
it could
1.
be. We don't know. It's very. And when you introduce the infinite Kangs, it's like, is this the one that Loki was afraid of? Is this the one that
Yeah.
He Who Remains was talking about, or not?
Mhm.
It's a little unclear.
I don't know. I think it would have been cool to have Loki in the movie, but I guess they know what they're doing for Loki season 2, but just having him in there, because I thought they were setting him up for this, like the first Kang.
That's what I
Right.
figured, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd think, but again, even though there are direct connections to those TV Disney Plus shows, sometimes it is still not as integrated all the time.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Next thing I think is Secret Invasion or Loki, one of the two, before the Marvels that obviously got delayed. So we'll see if any of those have any impact on future stories. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Are you guys all wrapped up on Ant-Man?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
All right, then. Let's move on to our final segment of the week, which we like to call Free for All, title pending. This is a segment, listeners, where we can kind of do whatever we want. We can recommend something, talk about our day, about life, have a fight, take a nap. It's free for all. I can just very quickly go first. The Flash, the CW show, The Flash, season 9, the final season started a couple weeks ago, and I didn't realize it, so I watched like the first 2 episodes. And I just thought it was so funny that the Flash TV show that's going on for 9 years is finally ending. And the Flash movie is about to come out that had been in development hell for about 9 years as well. So the same amount of time that this TV show's been running is ending is when we finally get this fucking movie to come out.
Finally get the Flash on the big screen by himself. Yeah, it's rough out here, boys.
It's so funny. I was just like, that's hilarious how long it's taken for that movie to come out.
Yeah. Jeez.
How have you felt about the show so far? I know you like the Flash TV show.
I haven't loved the day-to-day for a couple years. It's real. It's background fodder. I was really hoping that this final season they'll like pull out all the stops since this seems to be the end of the CW verse. All of these superhero shows are pretty much gone at this point, and The Flash is the big last nail in the coffin for it. First 2 episodes are more of the same, sadly. It's just like more background fodder. I'm just like, y'all, why didn't y'all just make a short final season and have a really tight, awesome arc? And it's just like, I don't know. I mean, there had been reports that like some cool cameos are coming up from past shows like Arrow and shit, and I'm looking forward to those things that are gonna come up. But all the day-to-day shit, I'm just like this. I get to multitask when I put this show on, which is great. That's what I'll say. And as usual, every week, shout out to God of War Ragnarok. All right. Who's next?
I just today finished reading through Dune, the book.
Oh.
Yeah, I went
shit.
back and watched some scenes from the 1985 movie, which is hilarious.
That movie is not good.
After reading it, though, I really do think they did a really great job with the movie, and I'm really excited for part 2. But man, it is a trippy book. Like, you could be high to read this book.
It is a book that gets into a lot of weird stuff that I feel like the movie does not quite hit in the same vein.
Yeah, and it's much different from any sci-fi story I've ever read because it's very religious. Like,
right?
And I don't see sci-fi is usually very technology driven and like
Well, I mean, we have Star Wars, which is space Jesus as well.
Yeah,
but Star Wars isn't like a prophecy, I mean, I guess they do have a prophecy in it, but this one's like
you were the chosen one, Anakin. What do you mean it was a prophecy?
But like this was different. It's like and like every chapter starts with like a little excerpt from like stuff written in the future, so you already know
Right.
how it's going to end.
I mean, I guess
Mhm.
that's why people have always said that, one, that book is dense as hell, and two, it's an
Mhm.
unfilmable book. But clearly, apparently not.
No, it's
Alright.
I would say the movie did a pretty good job, but yeah, there is a lot of context that in the book that is worth getting into. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and even though I knew it was going to happen from the book itself, I have found it hard to put down. So I really enjoyed it. Now I'm curious to see. You hear a lot about Dune, just the first one. I'm curious because there are sequels, but I feel like you don't
Right.
really hear much buzz about them. So I'm curious to get into them and see why. I think it's because they do a big, like the main character does kind of like a heel turn, I think, but we'll see.
Hmm.
I'll get into it if I read the sequels.
The Dune series is weird because at some point the author stops writing them and then his kids start writing them.
Right.
And then there's a lot of fucking Dune books and I'm not sure all of them are even worth looking at. So you might want to do a little research on that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think it's because he died, didn't he? Isn't that why he stopped?
Herbert.
Yeah. Right. And then his son
Yeah.
decided to. I think he co-writes the next couple books or something. Maybe he writes them on. I can't remember, but
Yeah.
I think the movies are covering just that first book, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I wonder if they'll make more, but I don't know. Either way, I'm very excited for the second part 2.
For sure.
It'll be
Nice.
sick.
Very cool.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to get into spoilers about it, but yeah, it's definitely it's a subvert your expectation kind of series, kind of a
Right.
book and movie. So I kind of like that about it, that it's not just a cookie cutter story that we know that like Star Wars tells.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Nice. I never talked about this, but back in the day when this came out, I watched Sonic Prime.
Oh shit.
that was a thing that happened that came out on Netflix because Sonic has been having a hell of a past 2-3 years as far as content has come out, and they came out with a animated TV show that was on Netflix. It was only one half of a season, so it was like 8 episodes or something like that. The guy that is the voice actor for this Sonic, he does a great job. I actually love him. His voice sounds pretty on par with like Ray Drummond and Roger Craig Smith, which have been the 2 most recent video game Sonics. He has a good energy to him, has a good sound. I can't remember the actor's voice for the life of me, so I apologize, but he's a black guy. He's like about our age. He's doing a great job. A lot of the voices in there are doing a really good job, and they sound either akin to the characters, they sound enough like what you would think the character would sound like that it's believable. So that's cool.
Nice.
Mhm.
The show itself, the storyline is pretty fucking lame, but that's okay. You can definitely tell this is made for children, and that's, I mean, of course, Sonic's a children's game character, whatever.
Right.
But it's a little childish, in the worst way possible.
Hmm.
In that, like, it's kind of like Bad Batch, I guess.
I
is
was
the
gonna
best way to
say,
put
is
it.
it? It's
Yeah.
like
Where it's like it almost has something that like feels like some real like content, and then it'll ruin it by telling like a stupid kid joke.
Mm.
And you're like,
I
well,
see.
damn, that
Yeah.
sucks. But I've enjoyed it so far. There's been pretty positive reviews. Of course, Sonic fans are the worst people on earth, just literal shit humans. So they are just demolishing.
They're
all
constantly
over it.
fighting Star Wars fans for who's the worst.
Oh god. Oh, it's bad because they're talking about how like they don't think that this canon of Sonic makes sense because someone has said somewhere that this is supposed to be canon. Yes, Sonic canon is very important to Sonic lore historians. To the point where if any Sonic seems like he's slightly different from the Sonic that they know and love, they'll shit and piss and throw up. So they've said that this Sonic is the same Sonic in the video games. They're like, he doesn't act anything like him. Fuck you guys, you stupid idiots.
How does that affect anything ever?
It literally doesn't matter. It literally does not matter at all.
Oh,
But
that's funny.
I can't tell if these are children or 40-year-old men. They all seem the
Right.
same. And I've accidentally ended up on Sonic Twitter, so I can
Oh,
see all
no.
of this bullshit that kind of goes on. But yeah, I've enjoyed the show. I look forward. They're releasing the second half later this year.
Nice.
Yeah, and I look forward to it. I like to see Sonic get some wins.
Yeah.
Speaking of Sonic, the third Sonic movie will be coming out the same day as Avatar 3. So
Who's gonna win that box office weekend?
yeah, we'll try to see how long it takes them to change that decision.
That's gonna get the
Yeah.
Marvels delay, bro. That's not happening.
We're gonna need and go ahead and either push that up or push that way back.
Although
'cause
I
what
want to
the-
see Blue Cats go against a Blue Hedgehog at the box office.
and I want to see the Blue Hedgehogs fucking win, baby. At least domestic,
Yeah.
because Jesus Christ.
That
people
is
win, no matter
hilarious.
The Blues win. Blues win.
Yeah. I had one more quick thing. This isn't a spoiler for Ant-Man, but this goes back to Ant-Man. I meant to tell you guys, how old do you fucking think Jonathan Majors is?
42.
This dude's 33 years old.
I was about to say, I know he's not that much older than we are, but
Like,
he's just got
what the
he got an
hell?
old man face. Yeah.
And like, not
Yeah.
that he looks old, but this dude looks like he's 50. But also, I believe he's 33. But I always thought he was one of those dudes, kind of like a Pedro Pascal, where it's like he's been working for like decades, but he only got his big thing in his 40s.
Yeah, no.
This dude, 33 years old.
Yeah, I knew. I can't remember why I know that. I might have looked up something and saw anything about him, but yeah, I knew he's about our age. He just looks like someone that just had a rough fucking life before he got into this. I don't know
That's
where the fuck
nuts.
this man was. Yeah,
Because like him going against Michael B. Jordan in Creed 3, Michael B. Jordan is 36. I was like, all right, so they're kind of similar. I was like, God damn.
he does not look younger than Michael B. Jordan. That's
No,
for
he
damn sure.
does not.
Yeah, that's
Michael B.
crazy.
Jordan looks younger than me. Like,
Right? Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I meant to bring that up because good lordy lord.
Yeah, that's wild.
All right, listeners, that's the show for us. You can email us at thefortress@gmail.com, fortress, FOUR. Feel free to email us any questions, feedback, recommendations, or anything like that in the future. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and the YouTube channel at The Fortress of. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your grandma, tell your cat. Rate reviews, preferably 5 stars, for whatever you deem us worthy. Thank you, Jackie, for helping edit the podcast. Thank you, Brian, for the art. Alex, for the music. Devin, thank you for being here, even when you're not here. You can find Brian on Instagram at ITZ_ by the way. Alex at Peterson Films. Devin, you can find him stuck in the quantum realm forever.
oh fuck.
The way it should be. I promise I won't conquer it. I'll just hang out in one of those house people.
Oh, well, the house.
I'm also mad that they spell Conqueror with a C. I kind of wanted them to pull Mortal Kombat and just put everything with a K. His name's Kang.
I'm so glad they didn't do that.
Next week, who knows? We'll figure something out. It'll be fun for everyone. All right, everyone. Happy holidays, and put a code out there.
Don't end up in the quantum realm. I don't know what the fuck the weather's like there. No one could really tell
Yeah.
you.
Don't send a signal down there. Just don't.
I'm surprised they could breathe down there, but they were fine with
Yeah.
it. Okay.
A weird floating head will always get your signal, no matter what.
All right, everyone. We'll see you here next week in another episode of The Fortress of.
Sorry I'm late. I told you I had a lot of ants.